All right, let's begin with this video.
Now, attraction is like a flame. It needs air to breathe. If you smother it with constant attention, the flame will die. But when you give it just enough space, it grows, intensifies, and starts pulling her towards you. This isn't a theory, it's psychology. Let me explain. Now, first, there's a concept called the scarcity principle. If you watch this channel, you may have heard of it already. It's the basic rule of human psychology. We value things that are rare or hard to get. If you're always available, constantly texting her, answering her calls within seconds, you become predictable. And predictability kills attraction. But when you step back, when you're not always there, you trigger her natural curiosity. Next, let's talk about the Zeigarnik effect, a fancy term for the psychological phenomenon where people remember unfinished or interrupted tasks better than completed ones.
And even with addiction, because I used to work in addiction, is that sometimes if you are trying to quit a drug, but there's a little space left, you're like, but I want to do one more. That desire to do one more will linger with you and will cause you to relapse. That's why they say it's better to get to rock bottom, where you're sick and tired, you've done everything you wanted to do, you've done everything. So now that you've done it, now you could quit, right? Having loose ends and leaving things unfinished really does fuck with people, and it tortures people. It's one thing that older people usually talk about, the things that they regret are those unfinished businesses.
Now, when you suddenly pull back or stop doing what she expects, like texting goodnight every day, you leave an unfinished story in her mind. And guess what? She can't stop thinking about you because her brain is trying to close that loop. That's why distance doesn't just make her wonder about you, it makes her obsess over you. Here's another angle. People want what they feel they're about to lose. Think about the last time you lost something valuable, your wallet, your keys, maybe even a relationship. The fear of losing it probably made you appreciate it even more, correct? That same thing happens when you create space in a relationship. When she feels your attention isn't guaranteed, she starts to realize its value. She begins to question, what if I lose him? What if he moves on? And that fear will spark her desire to pull you closer. Let's be clear. Distance isn't about playing games or trying to manipulate her emotions. I want you to reclaim your own space. That's what we're trying to do. When you focus on yourself, you naturally become more attractive.
Yep, totally, 100%. And let me show you guys. We're gonna go to the blackboard, and I'm gonna give you guys more of the psychology of absence and how it fucks with a woman and how it does make her love you and how you guys can implement it into your lives. And I'll be honest with you, this requires some emotional resilience. I always tell people you gotta develop the emotional resilience to create absence and space, because a lot of the times we come back not because we don't know the strategy, but because we don't know how to handle the pain of not getting their constant validation. So let's go to the whiteboard, and we're gonna go deeper into that topic.
Humans are fearful, creepy creatures, and we're all hunted by the fear of being alone. The problem with that fear is that it doesn't become obvious because we are so used to suppressing these fears through validation. And you gotta understand, fear is such an important emotion. Fear grounds you in reality. Fear allows you to see what's important and what's not important. Fear, if you use it properly, it'll guide you towards the right action. Meaning, if you observe that you're gonna die one day and you feel that fear and you're surrounded by your loved ones, for example, you're gonna notice you feel an urge to get closer to them. You're gonna notice that your instincts in the face of fear of losing someone becomes sharper, meaning more grounded in reality. A lot of the times, our over-validation, our constant presence causes them to not feel that reality. Meaning, you might be an important part of their lives. They might be dependent on you. They might love you, but because of your constant presence, constant validation, fear of confronting, fear of never walking away, you never really let them see it. They only see this in your absence. So today we're going to be talking about how absence plays with their emotions 2.0. We made one a few years ago, so I was like, why not make another one but with a whiteboard, right? Now, We're all hunted by our shadows. And by the way, check out yesterday's video, how silence plays with someone's emotion, because it kind of goes hand in hand with this video, right? It's in the you could check it out in the description down below. So we're all hunted by one thing in life, right? And that's what? Our shadow, right? And we use others to suppress that shadow in your absence, right? They may be hunted by their shadows, which is what there was insecurities, right? When you're alone, you start to revert to a more insecure version of yourself, right? You start to feel like you're horrible, like nobody loves you. All of those thoughts that this is the truth, a lot of us get into relationships to run away from that. A lot of us get into relationships to run away from that darkness inside of us, because maybe trauma, and because of those traumas you never learned how to process it. But we all found a drug that suppresses that, and that's external validation from our friends and from our partners, right? The problem with that external validation is that it causes us to be blind from reality, meaning they might be important to us, but after we get validated consistently by them, we forget that they are important. That's the problem. I mean, and so absence plays with their emotions, not in a negative way, but it grounds them in reality. And so if you are absent and they don't see your true worth, what's really showing you is that inside of them, they don't really value you. Right? And the beauty about it is that this is true. Sometimes this is all you need to do. The problem is that some of you motherfuckers never give people space. You never give people space because you're hunted by your shadow. Right? What you want to be able to do, right, is that you want them to experience this shadow. You know, when I used to work at a drug counselor, as a drug counselor, one of the things that happened a lot is that people forget why they quit their drug. They forget the lows they experienced when they were addicted to their drug, right? And because they forget that, they go back. And then they experience that darkness, that insecurity, that anger, that self-hatred. And once they experience that shadow, they want to go back to being sober. Why? Because naturally, you just forget the negatives. You forget how it is to not have them in your life. So you want them to see that. You want them to feel those insecurities, to feel the impatience, the sadness when you're not there. Because let me tell you something. If they don't feel that, that means there's no feelings for you. Because when you're not there and somebody loves you, they should feel depressed. They better go to therapy. I better shed a tear, motherfucker. I better see tears, or else Father Alex is gonna be pissed off. Let's keep reading with the notes because I'm getting ahead of myself, right? So, your constant presence can sometimes be irritating. That's the thing. Like, we could be annoying when we like someone. I could be very annoying, right? And so what you want to be able to do is never get to that point. Because when people start to want space from you, it usually happens because a few weeks before that, it never happens in a moment, they felt irritated by your presence. You never want to get to that point. You always want to preemptively withdraw. Always preemptively withdraw, right? So never let them feel this. Always pull away preemptively. And this, honestly, this comes down to you having a life. The truth is, I know a lot of you guys watch this and you guys have no lives. You guys want a strategy, but you guys don't want to fix the problem. The fundamental problem is that y'all just don't have a life that you love. That's the problem. And so you can't be alone. And I'm not asking to create a bunch of Terminators that prefer to be alone rather than have human relationships. I'm asking you guys to learn how to see this as like a fucking switch, right? I'm like fucking Blue's Clues here, man. Like a switch that you could turn on and off. Oh my God, Father Alex is Blue's Clues. Well, man, you know, you go to art school, you better get good at something, right? You want to have that switch, presence and absence, because it's necessary, right? It's completely necessary. If you don't see this as necessary, what that really is that unconsciously you're telling yourself that you don't know how to be happy. And you got to develop self-esteem. And that's why I tell you guys, check out that meditation retreat by going to dama.org, or check out my course, Emotional Mastery. Right, it's a course that I created. It's like a condensed version of these retreats. But right here, it'll give you that capacity to be able to be alone. Like that's the most important thing, because once you're able to be happy alone, like today I was meditating, and I was just, and I just felt happy. I felt so at ease with myself, so content with life. And the truth is, I have no reason to be happy. You know, I've gotten used to everything that I've gotten in my life, right? But you just feel a gratitude towards existing. And if you bring that, if a woman, for example, Mike, if a woman can sense that I am happy alone, she's gonna want to be part of my life. But you learn how to be happy by being alone, not consistently sucking off the drug of other people's validation. Right? Let's keep reading this.
I train legs every 2 weeks.
Shut up. So the validation you give blinds them of how much they're actually dependent on you. You gotta understand, like I said, validation causes a lack of appreciation. Why? Because we're so hungry for validation. Like, we're all hungry that when we get validation, we just zone out. We just get so high off of it, our ego inflates, and we literally start to feel superior to other things and people. And that could be problematic, especially if you're dealing with the insecure type. Right? So in your absence, they see how little self-esteem they have. Oh my God, Father Alex is laughing. It's true. Like it's like when women date ugly guys, and then all of a sudden that ugly guy gets a lot of women, right? He thinks that's who he is naturally. It's like, no, dude, you think you've always been like this. But what validation does is that validation has a weird bending of reality of your memories of the past and of the future. When you get validated, you think it's always gonna be there. And when you get validated, you unconsciously think that it's always been like that. Because of just how intense the high is and how it hijacks your memory and hijacks your frontal cortex. So by you giving absence, letting them experience time without you, they see that they're not that happy without you. And if they don't see that, get the fuck out of here. Tell them to find someone else. You don't want someone to go to therapy because of you. You want somebody to need to talk to Father Alex because they can't take your absence. If they're happy and content without you, you gotta find somebody else. They gotta be able to see and say, what the fuck? Why am I so unhappy? They're not here no more. Why is the house empty? You want them to experience that. It's like the reason why I drew this is because sometimes you just get used to them, and you think, and one of the things about humans is that if you predicted something long enough and you were correct, you will assume it's always going to be there, and that naturally comes with a lack of appreciation, right? It comes with a lack of appreciation because success and validation to people with low self-esteem creates delusions of reality, because they want to stay in that high because they know they came from a low. And so to keep that high, it takes delusion. Naturally, reality will always bring you down to size. But when you get with reality, you appreciate things more. Right? That's why you gotta be careful with getting with the highly insecure, because they're very difficult to maintain. They're very difficult to keep interested. Not because they're special, but because they're just insecure. Right? So in your absence, they sense how little their self-esteem is. Their brain will target you as a source to bring back those glory days of self-esteem. When you're not there, that dude realized how amazing it was to have you in the morning, for example, right? They realize how amazing it is to wake up to some breakfast, to wake up seeing your face, and they get used to it, and they take it for granted. You need to have some absence. You weren't born with them, right? In an insecure state, through your absence, everyone thinks you're having a great time without them. Now, to the highly insecure, they think you're banging the whole football team. They think you're with someone else. But to the normal insecure, they'll think you're having a great time. And they'll have what they call fear of missing out. which will diminish their present experience, which would then create craving for your validation because you give them that high. That's how they know you're special in their lives, only in your absence. And the beauty about it, another thing, is that it prunes out, right? Imagine this is a tree. It prunes out all of the negative, like these are like branches. It prunes out all of the negative memories. And it only keeps the positive memories, right? Now, what do I mean by that? Is that whenever you recall things and when you're sad or in down or in a low state, those combinations create nostalgia. Nostalgia is a reinterpretation of your past, right? Because you miss it, you start to think how amazing those moments were, when in reality, when you really think about it, they weren't that amazing. But that's what memory does. That's what sadness, depression, and then when you recall the past, it just exaggerates it through contrast. You feel empty, you feel nothing here, and so the way the brain works is through contrast. So whatever it imagines when you're in your most empty state, it imagines it through contrast. Meaning, you feel empty, the fantasy will be intense, insane, beautiful. Oh my God, that was such a great, crazy time. This is the beauty. If you're content right now, there's no contrast. So all you're gonna recall things as they were, right? That's why, like, it's very important for you guys to develop good self-esteem, so that whenever you remember things, whenever you remember an act of someone, you don't remember them with an exaggeration, because the low of your sadness, and let's just say this is like your normal state, and this is how low you are, will create an equal high in imagination, right? This is why pimps and cult leaders go for people who are really depressed, who have extreme lows, because then they have the capacity to fill that up with the fantasy of me being your salvation, right? But the beauty about it is that the more they love you, the more low they'll have in your absence, and that's totally healthy. Honestly, that's totally healthy, and the natural desire will want to be around you, right? And this is why kids, when you have bad relationship with your parents, sometimes you just need some space. That's why kids, when they move out, a lot of the times they move out with fights. Like, get the fuck out of here, move out. And after a few years of absence, the relationship gets repaired. That's what it does. Like, absence repairs relationships. Absence forgets all of the bad things. Like, it really does. Like, it's that's why they say just wait it out. If you made a mistake with someone and you feel like they may not forgive you, just wait it out. People, and this is for your benefit and for the positive. I mean, for the negative, people forget. People forget. That's why you gotta be careful with people who are the empathetic type, who glamorize the past, or people who have a lot of love, or people who fall in love fast. A lot of the times they're just not over their exes. These types of people, they're just transferring over those emotions towards you, and your ego will make you say, oh, it's because of how amazing, how good looking I am. And it's like, nah, man, they're just not over their ex. And because you're getting validation, you think it's because of you, right? And that ex can easily come back, and once that happens, they'll just replace you, and they'll go back to their exes, right? Anyway, so this is how absence plays with their emotions, man. Their shadow comes out. Their worst thoughts and fears and insecurities about you will come out. They'll think that everything is happening around them is better than what's happening in the moment. And they'll see you from a bottom up perspective, meaning they'll think everything you're doing is amazing, and they feel so low, because absence diminishes them. We're all greater with somebody else that we love, right? When they stop being there, it's like a branch without the tree. They start to shrink, and when that shrinking happens, they'll start to instinctively reach out to you, so that they can return to that high, which was your presence. And the beauty about it is that they don't know they're high because you're always there. That's why. Give them that absence. Let them chase. Let them suffer. Let them cry. Let them get my courses, ladies and gentlemen. All right? Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this. By the way, check out our Patreon. We posted a video about how to gain respect in any situation. So this means work setting, men, women, any type of situation, leadership. check that video out. We posted it like 3 days ago, so that's a good way to support the channel. And it's a long form video that you guys don't get on YouTube, right? So that's a good way to support the channel. And check out the course Emotional Mastery. It'll teach you guys how to develop that emotional resilience. Take care.
All right, guys, we're going to have a brief intermission so that I could tell you guys about our new bundle that we're doing, where you guys can purchase all of my courses and get it at a discount. So this bundle is pretty much the bundle where you could just buy all of my courses. You could buy Nice Guy, which is a training course on how to come across more assertive, how to come across more confident, how to not give off nice guy vibes. You guys can get access to Dark Game, which is my full dating course on how to meet women in different scenarios, how to attract women, how to make sure you don't come across as creepy, and essentially how to act like a man and not act like a doofus, to be quite honest with you. And you get all of these bonuses, which is the bonuses of Dark Game, the bonuses of Practical Mastery, which is about how to master a skill, Social Mastery, which is how to master your social life, and the Laws of Human Nature, which is a book club videos that I had dissecting Robert Greene's book. All of this is naturally at around naturally is at $346, but you guys can purchase this bundle and get it at what's the price again? Get it at $238 pretty much. So you guys can purchase it right now. It's a money back 30-day money back guarantee. It's a good way to, rather than just buying them individually and paying extra, you guys can just purchase everything at a discount price. Now, the only thing I don't like is the fact that I'm giving you a lot of information at the same time. That makes me kind of scared, because a lot of times people don't do the things that I teach when you get too much information. But I've gotten too many requests to do this, so I'm just satisfying you guys. Purchase it right now by clicking on the description down below where it says purchase the bundle. All right, let's continue with the video.